For reasons that utterly escape everyone involved, you're listening to a bipolar, a schizophrenic, and a podcast. Here are your hosts, Gabe Howard and Michelle Hammer.
Welcome to a bipolar, a schizophrenic, and a podcast. My name is Gabe Howard. I'm bipolar.
I'm Michelle Hammer, and I'm schizophrenic.
And today we want to talk about celebrities in the news coming out as living with mental illness. This all started a couple of weeks ago with, what was the diva's name?
Her name is the Queen of Christmas, Miss Mariah Carey.
When did she become the Queen of Christmas?
You don't call her the Queen of Christmas?
No, she's Mariah Carey. She's had a lot of
her
it.
Christmas song is the best Christmas song ever. And this, coming from a Jewish girl, I can tell you, her Christmas song is the best Christmas song there ever was. Wendy Williams calls Mariah Carey the Queen of Christmas. She has the best Christmas song ever made, in my opinion. Love her Christmas song. I will jam out to that song. I love it. All I want for Christmas is you.
Is that a Mariah Carey song? Isn't that a cover?
No, people think it's a cover, but it's not a cover. She actually wrote that whole song. So it just shows you can have a mental illness and write an amazing song.
I don't think that anybody actually disputes that. Of all the stereotypes about mental illness, nobody ever says, oh, the mentally ill aren't creative. The stereotype actually exists the other way. People with mental illness are geniuses. They're highly creative. They're artists. They're tortured souls.
Tortured souls.
Yeah.
I love Mariah Carey. She's great. And I love when she pretends that she doesn't know who all the new artists are. Like, you'll see her in an interview and they'll be like, Demi Lovato kind of like said this about you. And she goes, I don't know who that is, but if she wants to come up to me and introduce herself to me, I'll totally say hello to her. It's hilarious. Because she knows she's Mariah Carey and she's like, who's everybody else?
That's really awesome. And it's a great segue into Demi Lovato is a person who lives with bipolar disorder, and
Yes.
she started a foundation. So I think that would be a great place to kick it off.
Yeah.
Demi Lovato lives with bipolar disorder and used her fame, her reach, and her money, these things take funding, to start a foundation to raise awareness about mental illness and mental health. And that's a very, very good thing. So, hey, we're getting started on a positive note.
Yeah. When I first found out about Demi Lovato having a mental illness, I was listening to her on Spotify, and I listened to her song Skyscraper, and I love that song Skyscraper. And then it came on commentary on her album, and she talked about the song Skyscraper and how she recorded it before she went into treatment. And then she tried to record it again after she came out of treatment, and it just wasn't the same. And she said that the first time she recorded it, she was struggling so much, and it came from the heart, and it really just came from a place of where she was in her life, that first recording was so great that that's the one they released because she was coming from such a place.
It is amazing. And as you know, Demi Lovato is my fourth wife. Not yet. Yeah. I'm still on my third wife. So she's gonna be my fourth wife as soon as it works out. I'm not quite done with my third yet. But we're getting there.
Your third wife realizes that you say that about her.
Oh, she knows. And she's the one that came up with the numbering system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there's 1, 2, 3. Demi Lovato is 4. I figure number 7 is probably not born yet, but she's out there.
What? Oh my God, Gabe. You scare me sometimes. As long as I'm not any of those numbers, I'm good.
No, you're not good enough to be wifed.
You're not good enough to be husband.
I mean, however it makes you feel better about it, if you think that we would work, you're delusional.
I mean, you're like a giant.
You're so tiny. I could fit you in my pocket.
I don't even reach your non-existent nipples, so it wouldn't even work. It would not work.
That's terrible. The name of Demi Lovato's foundation is called Be Vocal. Be Vocal about mental health. That it's Be Vocal. I got to participate in that as listeners of the show know from Two Truths and a Lie, episode number 1. And it was fantastic because we are getting information out there. And to your point about, the raw emotion that trauma and suffering brings up, I can understand why people are impacted by that. There's just something beautiful about somebody taking something negative and turning it into something beautiful. Where I think that trope always goes too far is that a lot of society then thinks that justifies the hurt. And I don't think that it does.
What does justify the hurt mean?
Like, they think it's worth it to have mental illness. Like, oh, mental illness is a gift. If Demi Lovato didn't have bipolar disorder, then Skyscraper wouldn't have been so moving and beautiful. Listen, it was moving and beautiful, but I don't think that's worth making Demi Lovato suffer. What could she have done if she wasn't suffering, if she didn't need to go to treatment? I mean, what if the treatment didn't work and she passed away?
If you make something good from something bad, it doesn't make it good because you have an illness. It's just because you're good at what you do.
Right. I like to give the credit to the person. For example, you live with schizophrenia and you use schizophrenia to inspire your art. We can all agree with that.
Yes.
Do you feel that you're a good artist because you're schizophrenic?
No.
So you're a good artist because you have talent and because you've practiced and because you've worked hard.
Yes. However, I could say a lot of my artwork came from a place of high anxiety. It was a release. But I mean, that wasn't really like what taught me art. I started doing art since I was a little girl, you know. I've been studying art my whole life. But I mean, some stuff came from anxiety, but stuff they came from a place of joy and happiness. And I'm not going to, give credit to a mental illness, but I love my art. Other people love it. I'm loving it.
And your art is beautiful, and inspiration it's incredibly valuable. But listen, war has inspired songs.
Yes.
That doesn't make war all of a sudden some sort of gift. And my thing is if we could find a way to take mental illness and turn it into something that we could give to people. So it's now a pill. And if you take the pill, you'll have mental illness. Would we market that pill as a torture device, or would we market that pill as something to make you stronger? And I think that the entire world agrees that would be a great torture device. If it's a gift, you'd want to give it away.
I mean, there's the cliche, making lemons out of lemonade.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing because we're strong and we're good and we rose above.
I mean, I could be that girl with schizophrenia, hating my life because I have schizophrenia, hating my life because I can't keep a regular job, hating my life because I can't do anything. But no, I didn't do that. I turned it into something positive. I didn't want to have a secret that I had schizophrenia. I wanted to just share it with everybody. I wanted to use artwork. I wanted to use the medium of artwork and clothing to raise awareness. I wanted to do something better because of like a detriment that I had in my life. I just wanted to just help people. I wanted to just do something good. And
wait, that makes you a celebrity.
No.
You're one of the celebrities that came out. There's Mariah Carey, Demi Lovato, Michelle Hammer.
Nobody knows me.
I mean, I know you. You have a very successful podcast.
Oh, yeah, it's so successful.
Let's talk about more celebrities. One of the things that I always think when a celebrity comes out is, are they actually helping the cause? We're both advocates. This is, and for better for worse, we live and breathe mental health advocacy every single day on a personal level, on a business level, I don't know, what other levels are there, Michelle?
Personal, business.
Yeah, I said those.
Conceptual. I don't know.
Conceptual level.
I learned that in art school. Conceptual.
Wait, you went to art school? I thought schizophrenia made you. No, I'm just kidding. But let's look at some of the high profile people who have come out with mental illness, just in the last year. We used El Goog to come up with some names. Michelle, hit us. Who are some people who have come out with?
Well, I'm not sure about the last year, but I got some people that were interesting. And what I found was interesting was The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock, depression.
The Rock experienced depression. And he said, I have a quote from him. I found that with depression, one of the most important things you could realize is that you're not alone. And like The Rock, you see The Rock, he's like a monster of muscle. And like, you would you can look at him and you just be like, wow, that guy's amazing. Look at all the movies he's in. He's strong as can be. Like,
wait, is The Rock husband number one? Like, is he husband one?
I think he might be too big for me. I think he would crush me. But I'm just saying, like, you look at a man like that and you're like, wow, that guy's got it all. But no, he experienced like 3 different bouts of depression, like in college.
Yeah, let's stay on that topic for a moment. Do you think that him saying that he lives with depression, talking about it in the media, do you think that helped people with mental illness, hurt people with mental illness, or made zero impact?
I think that helps because it shows that it can affect everybody, because you might think like, oh, they're depressed because they get bullied because they're so weak in school and they're just like the weak little guy that everyone bullies. But can you bully The Rock? You can't bully The Rock. So it shows that mental illness can happen to everybody, even The Rock. So I don't think The Rock gets bullied. I don't think. If you bully The Rock, you're not a smart person.
I see, I take a different approach. I think it doesn't hurt or help. And I know that's a very pessimistic view, and maybe that it is, but celebrities have been, let's start with Carrie Fisher. I mean, Carrie Fisher, she was Princess Leia, for Pete's sake. She was an advocate that toured and wrote books and talked about living with bipolar disorder, damn near every day of her life, from the time she reached recovery until the time she passed away. And here we are still fighting the same stereotypes that mentally ill people are responsible for all violence. We still have homeless people that we're not helping. We still have funding issues. I just, sometimes I wonder when these celebrities come out if anything happens at all, or if it just goes through the news cycle like, oh, that's interesting, The Rock has depression. And then we just move on with our lives, still leaving all the other people that can't get any help to not get any help.
Just like how I tell my story of seeing the guy on the subway talking to himself in the same way that I did it. And I thought to myself, what's the difference between me and that guy? I have family, friends, and a doctor. That guy didn't. And I saw the difference between me and him. And that's when I was like, I want to make a change. And that's how I started to come up with my own company to help with mental illness in New York City. Because I realized if you just have, support around you, you can live, more of a successful life if you have support. But if you don't, you can just be schizophrenic and homeless.
Yeah.
Which if I didn't have support, that's me on the subway talking to myself,
I always feel like a broken record when I say this, and I don't think that people believe me when I say it. If I didn't have health insurance, money, great parents, good people around me, and, I got to give myself some credit. I mean, I did work hard, but, make no mistake. You take away the health insurance, you take away the money.
Mistake. I like
make no mistake.
Are you Obama right now? No mistake.
I mean, I'm channeling Obama. I like me some President Obama. But sincerely, you take away health insurance and money and the people around me that pick me up when I couldn't pick myself up, and I'm nothing. And when I say that, everybody around me instantly thinks, well, that's not true. And that's what I want to change. I want everybody to believe me when I say it. Because people think they're like, no, Gabe, you would have found a way. You would have worked hard. I'm telling you, I wouldn't have.
I would not have. Me either. I would not have. I would have never graduated college had it not been for my lacrosse coach, on me all the time saying, take your medicine, take your medicine, take your medicine. And also my roommates realizing when I was depressed and you're sleeping till 4:00. They would come in my room, open my door, turn on my lights, open my blinds, ask me, what's going on? What happened? Are you okay? So without my support system, I don't even know. I wouldn't have graduated college.
Right. And as you pointed out, you were taking medicine, which means you had a doctor and medicine.
Yes.
These things take resources.
Want to learn more about mental health, mental illness, and psychology, but not be bored? The Psych Central Show is an award-winning podcast that speaks candidly with experts in these fields to break down complex topics into easily understood nuggets of useful information. Hosted by our very own Gabe Howard along with Vincent M. Wales. Available on your favorite podcast player or at psychcentral.com/show.
So sometimes when the celebrities come out, I think, that's great, but does it put the idea in the public's head that, hey, how bad could depression be? I mean, The Rock had depression, and he finds time to work out 3,700 hours a day, have a banging body. I mean, I'm attracted to The Rock, and I'm as straight as they come. They think, hey, depression must not be that bad because look at all these celebrities living with all these mental illnesses, and they're fine. This is not the celebrity's fault. Please, although it would be cool to get a bunch of angry emails from a bunch of celebrities, please don't write me. I'm not saying it's a celebrity's fault, but does celebrities coming out with these mental illnesses and the way that they're talking about them, the way that they're interviewed, does this create the idea in the public consciousness that mental illness must not be that bad? Because after all, you can have it and become a famous movie star.
I see what you're saying. I see that with mental illness, you can still be successful, but you're also saying that, like, it's kind of showing, oh, you can overcome it and be totally fine. But we need to know the steps they use to overcome it.
I'd like a more complete conversation. Like, one of the things with, Mariah Carey, Demi Lovato, and Demi Lovato less. Demi Lovato's done a lot. I mean, it's why she's number 4. I mean, yes, I'm not gonna wife somebody that puts us behind, but Carson Daly, and they talk a lot about the mental illness that they were diagnosed with, but they don't talk about the steps that they needed to get better. The conversation just doesn't seem to be very nuanced. I lived with depression. It was really, really hard. Okay, but how did you move from diagnosis to recovery? So that we love to talk to celebrities about the challenges that they've overcome because it makes them more like us. But the reality is they're not like us. They have money. And there's plenty of celebrities that weren't able to overcome serious mental illness. Kurt Cobain, dead.
You say they have money, but money does not buy happiness.
No, but it buys doctors.
Like, what was his? Didn't Owen Wilson try to kill himself?
Yes.
He's got money.
Yep. And the way that the media handles suicide is a little, they talked about how he needed help and that he went into treatment. His treatment was hundreds of thousands of dollars that the average person can't afford. And listen, let me break this down for you. Owen Wilson had an issue, tried to kill himself, got help at high-end places, and the whole world saw that that's what he needed to get back on his feet. But yet, the whole world does not say, we need to raise the amount of funding that we give people with serious and persistent mental illness so they can be just like Owen Wilson. No, everybody says, well, pick yourself up from your bootstraps, homeless guy.
Yeah, get your life together. Get a job. Get a job. Get a job.
Yeah.
Like I tried to get jobs. I tried so hard. How many times must I try and fail to get a job? It's just like come on already. Like,
how many times were you fired, Michelle?
8.
And what finally helped? Finding a job that you could do.
Finding a job that I can do to work for myself.
And you were lucky to be able to work for yourself because your father is business-minded. I know he's helped you a lot. And
well, it's not that when you say he's helped me a lot, it's not that he's given me money. It's
no, that's not what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's what it sounded like.
No.
He just knows how to, set up stuff like that, like business stuff, set up tax stuff, set up all the behind the scenes stuff for me to be able to run my own business. Right.
These are the things that I've been most impressed with in the world. I come from a place where I thought my parents were roving idiots. I really did. I thought that they were just like dingbats. I have no problem admitting this. For all the parents listening right now, if you have a 15, 20, 25, 30, probably 35 or 40-year-old kid that thinks you're a moron, they will learn. Because a lot of the stuff that I gave myself complete credit for, like, do you drive, Michelle?
Well, I have a license, but I live in New York City, so I no longer have a car.
Okay, but you have a license, right?
Yes.
How did you get a license?
I took a test.
Right. Notice that you said, I took a test. Do you realize that your parents had to give you permission? Who taught you how to drive?
Oh, my dad.
Yeah, who paid for your insurance?
Oh, my parents, yeah.
Yeah, who did? So listen to us. You just said, I took a test and I have a driver's license. It turns out that that's all smoke and mirrors. Our parents did all the work. It was their car, their training, their money, their insurance, their faith, their confidence, their courage, and then we held up the license and gave ourselves all the credit. If you don't have parents, you don't get a driver's license. Just every single person with serious mental illness in the country needs to do the work. You did take the test to get your license. You did pay attention during driver's ed. I'm not saying that we did nothing to get our license, but the reason we were able to get our driver's license is because we had this support system behind us that was doing a lot of the work that we didn't understand. This is the mental health system that we need in America, where there is support systems so that the people can focus on doing the work. All I had to focus on was how to parallel park. All the back end work was handled by my parents. If we can create a system where people just have to focus on getting well, understanding their medications, reporting side effects, more people will get well. We don't have that system. Right now, people have to worry about everything, literally everything. If you're homeless, you don't have food, but we want you to be med compliant.
Do you feel that it's really a celebrity's problem to fix the mental health crisis?
No, and that's, I don't, but I do think that if you're going to use a public forum to announce that you have an illness and talk about it, that I do think that there's some responsibility for your talking points to be better. But there's no obligation. You don't have to. I would like to see a Michael J. Fox of mental illness. You know, Michael J. Fox is a great spokesperson for Parkinson. He understands the illness. He started a foundation. He does the research. He invested in talking points. He testified in front of the government to find more resources. He educated himself. He does tell his personal story of life with Parkinson's, but he's expanded it to so much more. A lot of celebrities just tell their personal story of life with mental illness. And while that is valuable, it doesn't seem to change the way the public thinks about mental illness. And I really feel that it makes people think that mental illness isn't as serious as it is. Because after all these rich, famous people have it. So how bad could it be?
I get what you're saying. I wanted to bring up something. I was looking online. I don't know if you know Troyan Bellisario. She was on that show Pretty Little Liars, a teen drama. I expect you probably
I'm unaware.
Yeah, but she played the character Spencer, who I thought was like great, and she was always very thin, and she admits to eating 300 calories a day. So I wasn't aware until a few months ago, I guess this is my own ignorance, that an eating disorder was actually a mental illness too. I'm kind of I feel stupid that I didn't really know that an eating disorder was a mental illness. So I ask you, because you used to weigh 550 pounds, do you feel that you had a mental illness and that was why you were 550 pounds? Was that a mental illness in your case?
So yeah, the first thing is eating disorders are on the mental illness spectrum. They are. And this is one of the problems, not to get off on a tangent, but this is one of the things that I hate about calling mental illness. Could you imagine if all physical health problems were referred to as physical illness? So if you had stage 4 cancer or a runny nose, we said you had physical illness.
Right.
I mean, that would create so much misunderstanding.
I see what you're saying.
So that's the first thing that I want to say. But I feel very, very strongly that bipolar disorder drove binge eating disorder. And here's why. For me, bipolar disorder was all about excess. When I was manic, I wanted to do anything that made me happy. And man, did food make me happy. Food makes everybody happy. And when I was depressed, I wanted to do anything to make myself happy because I was so depressed, I wanted to get out of it. And food is what I chose. At that same time, I was also abusing drugs, alcohol, sex, and many other things. But food was my favorite because it was the easiest to get. And because it was already psychologically built into my head that certain foods equaled happiness. I tell this story a lot. Whenever I would be really, really, really sad, so sad I was thinking about suicide a lot, I would go buy a sheet cake. Why would I buy a sheet cake? Yeah, because it would remind me of birthdays in my house. Growing up, yeah.
Every time I got fired, I ate a pint of chocolate ice cream.
That's delicious. And a pint for you is like a gallon for me because I weigh 4 times as much as you. But sincerely, I would get a cake because it would remind me of every birthday party growing up. And we had lots of family friends. I have brothers and sisters. We had a lot of cakes. And every time I would get one, I'd even buy the ones that said happy birthday. And I eat the whole thing in one sitting.
Oh, I see. So you're saying like when you were depressed, the bipolar and everything, you would just rely on eating to make you happy. So therefore kind of the bipolar triggered the eating disorder.
Yeah. There's a much better psychological method that a doctor can explain better. But for me, I was willing to self-medicate with anything to feel anything I was willing to do. And if that meant that I needed to weigh 550 pounds to not be dead, then it was worth it. I wasn't making these decisions consciously. These were subconscious decisions. And eventually it got away from me. And it's no surprise that I ended up being so suicidal. I weighed 550 pounds. My wife left me. I was a mess. All of my friends had gone away. I was not estranged from my family, but certainly not connected to my family. They were gone. They were 700 miles away in another state. I was all alone. I just felt lonely, fat, worthless, and my mind kept saying, do it. Nobody will miss you.
Yeah, like what Troy Belisario said, she was like, there was a time in my life when it had absolute authority over me. She's saying that her eating disorder had the authority over her. It was her control in her life.
Yeah.
Completely. So it just controls your life. Like, I've never really thought of food just being the absolute, like, control of your whole life. My highest weight was nothing near 550 pounds. But, I mean, I've lost weight recently, really just due to med changes and stuff like that. But, like...
You used to smoke, right, Michelle?
Back in the day.
And it's a fair statement to say that you were addicted to cigarettes and that they had authority over you, meaning when you got a craving to smoke, you would do anything to get that cigarette.
I would, and I can say that I first started that after I lost my first job.
So the point that I'm making in all of that is that's how food was for me.
I see.
When I needed food, I needed it. I couldn't decide that now wasn't a good time for food, just like you couldn't decide that now wasn't a good time for a cigarette. You would get the cigarette and then you could move on with your life. I could get the food and then I could move on with my life. People have a hard time understanding that because you need food to survive. You quit cigarettes. That's great. But that's not an option for me. With eating disorders, it's not an option to quit food. We can't.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. You can't, because you have to eat.
Yeah.
Eating is necessary.
I have to eat because I like it.
You gotta eat.
You do.
Yeah.
You have to eat. So let's dial this down. Celebrities, they're not hurting us. I don't necessarily know that they're helping us. I think that as advocates, though, we could probably do more to make their stories helpful.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about their struggles, they talk about their story, they talk about recovery. They always say the support from people, but we need support to help the people that don't have the support is really more of the issue.
Yes, and I think as advocates, as people just like us, the people listening to this show, other Gabe and Michelles out there, we're certainly not the only ones. We can build off of this. Mariah Carey said that she had bipolar disorder and that she's doing well now, and that's fantastic. But you know why she's doing well, and then we can talk about all the steps that she may or may not have went through. You know, obviously we don't know exactly how Mariah Carey got, we don't know her doctors. HIPAA applies to celebrities as well. But I think that it's up to us to fill in the gaps that's missing from the inspirational story of celebrity diagnosed with mental illness, celebrity overcame mental illness. That way more people can be diagnosed with mental illness and overcome mental illness.
Yeah, I'm sure they went to some pleasant psych wards, which were very nice.
Yeah, we didn't get to go to any pleasant psych wards as our psych ward episode illustrated.
Yeah. I mean, if I went to whatever psych ward they went to or institution or whatever they went to, I'm sure I would have been like, oh, 6 days here. What a wonderful time this place is. I'll stay here and get better instead of get me out of this place. What do I need to do?
But, an interesting thing that I just thought of is how many celebrities and wealthy people went to those, what we just called plush institutions that still didn't get better. Kurt Cobain went to one of those plush institutions. He got the best care money can buy, still dead.
True.
I love Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher will probably be my favorite celebrity with bipolar disorder forever. But, she did have drugs in her system when she died. She understood mental illness. She had great care. She had the best care. She went to what we're now calling plush institutions, and even she still struggled. So if all of these celebrities and rich people are getting the best care and are still struggling, again, like you said, how hard is it for that guy on the subway? And we just expect so much from them, but give them so little. And that has to change.
Yeah.
Final word, Michelle, and then we're out of here.
Final word. The Rock can be depressed, but The Rock can kick your ass.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a Podcast, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
You've been listening to A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a Podcast. If you loved this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Head over to iTunes or your preferred podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. To work with Gabe, go to gabehoward.com. To work with Michelle, go to schizophrenic.nyc. For free mental health resources and online support groups, head over to psychcentral.com. The show's official website is psychcentral.com/BSP. You can email us at show@psychcentral.com. Thank you for listening, and share widely.